It's important to try to arrive a little early to yoga class when you can. Especially with a very active practice like Ashtanga, sometimes the body, mind, and energetic systems are not entirely ready to jump right into the fire, literally with our sun salutations. I find it quite valuable to either take a pranayama practice, which clears the energetic body, or to take a few opening poses. By opening, I mean give some attention to those places in the body that tend to tighten or close down due to our normal life activities, and eventually affect our posture, our spinal integrity, and our overall health. Our hips, shoulders, and feet are important areas of the body to develop an awareness for. If our bodies are not strong and open to circulate prana, our life force, then dis-ease will develop in many forms as we age. The hip and pelvic region is one of the most common places that tightens up, particularly if you spend hours a day sitting in a car or at a computer, or training at biking, running, or weightlifting. Emotionally, we store anger and sadness in the hips, which can be released by accessing them deeply in yoga poses. Do not fear if these feelings emerge. Instead, welcome and accept them as a means of letting go. Hips and shoulders are rotating joints. Knees and elbows are bending joints. By working on the flexibility in our hips and shoulders, we will protect the less mobile two-way joints like the knees and elbows. For example, when the hips are fully open, the knees will stay in line and won't take on pressure to rotate, which they shouldn't do. There are layers upon layers and worlds of openings for the hips. I won't get into the anatomy here, but I will just say that hip opening is the key to freedom. Freedom from physical pain, from pent-up emotions, from those nagging poses that you just feel completely stuck in. While the Ashtanga primary and intermediate series do effectively open these areas of the body, sometimes 5 breaths or the vinyasa flowing pace are not enough to find your deepest expression. I will present to you a sequence of hip openers, taught to me by Nicki Doane and Eddie Monestini of Maya Yoga. In the interest of keeping the flow of this video, I do not necessarily hold the poses as long as you might want to. Write down or memorize the sequence and take them with you as a pre-class warm-up or as an afternoon stretch down session. And using a timer will help reinforce how long you should stay in. Or a method I like to do is wait until you want to come out and then take 5 to 10 more deep breaths. Remember, the pose begins when you want to come out. That's where the work is and where change happens. Also, these opening sequences are helpful in preparing the body to perform some of the more difficult poses we encounter in the Ashtanga system. So let's begin this set of lunges. On your inhale, from downward dog, step the right foot up in between the hands. Start to sink the hips towards the floor, straightening the back leg as much as possible, pressing back with your heel, and coming up onto the fingertips perhaps to lift in the chest so you can gaze straight ahead. On your exhale, look down, plant your palms, and step back to downward dog. Inhale, bring the left foot up between the hands now. Same thing, dropping in the hips, pressing back with the heel, lifting the chest and gazing ahead. Just breathe here. Inhale, lift the hips up, exhale, step back to downward dog. If it's too much for you to come into a full lunge such as this, try using a set of blocks on either side. You can use the hands on the blocks to lift the hips up a little bit higher, maybe more comfortable. Same thing with the back leg, strong back leg, pressing out with the heel. You can inhale, lift up, and exhale to downward dog. Inhale the left foot forward, using the blocks again. This is optional. Pressing forward with that front foot, finding the heel of the foot, relaxing the toes, and pressing back with the back heel. Good. Take an inhale now, lifting the hips up. and stepping back to downward dog. Bring your hands together so the thumbs are touching. Now go ahead and inhale the right foot up outside the right hand, moving your heel out so it's in line with your pinky toe. Sinking the hips again towards the floor, and again reaching back through that back heel, lifting the chest. That right knee is squeezing into the outer right arm. Inhale, lift up, exhale to downward dog. Other side, inhale the left foot up, turn that heel out slightly. Maybe the big toe is in line with the pinky finger. Keep your chest lifted and dropping the hips. There's a nice internal rotation of that back leg so the sacrum's nice and broad and open. Inhale, lift, and exhale, downward dog. For the next one, inhale your right foot up outside the hand again and sink your hips until your knee touches the ground. Tuck your toes back so you're pointing the toes back. And on your inhale, press through the top of the foot to lift that back knee. Really taking some strength in that leg now. Dropping it on the exhale, tuck your toes, inhale, lift, and exhale back. Other side, inhale the left leg up, sinking the hips so that the knee can come down and pointing the toes back behind. Good. And then pressing up through that back leg, pressing through the top of the foot. Nice straight back leg, squeezing that left knee into the outer left arm, and drop the knee and the hips. Turn the toes, inhale up and exhale back. On your next inhale, stepping the right foot forward. Again, sink the hips to drop the knee, point the toes back, and now coming down onto your forearms. If it's not possible to come on the forearms, then just get yourself a block or two. So we're getting much deeper now in the hips, accessing those spaces, doing the work. Go ahead and tuck those toes, flexing the foot, and press the knee up. You can even look back and see if you can see the ankle. You want to be pressing up with the leg that much. Good. Holding for 5 and then coming off of the block. Dropping the knee. Inhale, lift the hips up and exhale to downward dog. Other side, left leg comes up outside of the left hand and the right knee starts to drop with the hips. Tuck your toes back. See if you can come onto the forearms. Trying to keep equal weight in both arms and trying to bring the chest so that it's lifted. Tuck your toes and then press up with the leg. Squeezing that left knee into the shoulder, chest lifting, gaze ahead. Looking back towards the ankle if you like. Good. Dropping the hips and the knee. Pressing up and step back to downward dog. On your inhale, right foot comes forward now. Dropping the hips and the knee comes down. You're going to bring your hands up onto your knee so that you're upright and use your arms to press the knee away so your arms become straight. The chest is lifted, reaching out through that knee. If you'd like, take your hand and create a J with your thumb and index finger, tucking it right under the glute muscle. You'll start to turn towards the open side of the body, towards the left. Gazing over that left shoulder, pressing away with the knee. And exhale. Bring your hands down. Inhale, hips up. Exhale, back. Other side. Inhale. Bring the left foot forward. Sinking the hips and the knee, pointing the toes back. And inhale, press up through that left heel. Use your hands right above the knee to start to press away, opening the chest, getting that belly to come up off of the hip. Gazing straight ahead and breathing. And when you're ready, taking the hand, placing the J of the hand under the glute flesh, and turning towards the open side, towards your right, gazing over the right shoulder, pressing that knee right straight over the middle toe. Place your hands down, inhale, lift the hips, exhale, step back. For the next lunge, bring your right foot forward, but turn your foot out slightly, keeping it in line with the knee. Bring your right hand up towards the thigh and start to bend the left leg. See if you can start to pull that foot towards the sacrum as you gaze back over the right shoulder, keeping both shoulders down and relaxed. Exhale, release that back foot, plant the hands. Inhale, lift up, and exhale, step back. Other side, bringing the left foot up towards the left hand, outside the hand. Turn your toes and knee out slightly. Placing the weight into the right hand, you start to bend the right knee, bringing the foot in. See if you can take hold of the ankle or the foot. And you might get different actions from pulling the foot in towards the sacrum and pushing it away. Releasing the foot, coming onto the toes, inhale, lift up, and step back to downward dog. The next pose is Ekapada Rajakapotasana. Inhale the right leg up, and exhale, swing it through. Bring your shins so that it's parallel to the front of your mat, and walking that foot out. And really start to ground down with that right hip. You can be on the edge of the hip if you need, and then the energy of the left hip is coming forward and down as well. If that's too much, just lift your hips up, sit down onto a block or a bolster. Careful not to place too much pressure on that elevated knee, maybe placing a block there. If you can go deeper, then take the pose without the block and start to rotate that left hip forward and down. So you have an internal rotation of the left leg. Point the toes back, and if you want, come forward onto the chest. Extending the arms out, you'll feel a little more weight in the right hand as you press that left hip down to the ground. After several breaths, pressing yourself up on an inhale, turn the toes and inhale the hips back to downward dog. And now for the other side. Inhale the left leg up, maybe keeping it up there for a few breaths. Reaching out through the toes, and then perhaps rotating the hips and bending the knee, bringing the foot back away from you, feeling the twist in the spine. And when you're ready, exhale, swing the leg through just as before. Bringing the shin up parallel to the front of the mat and flexing that left foot so that the inner ankle is pressing up and not collapsing. You can come right forward onto the chest, or if you prefer, pressing up with the arms, working to get that belly off of the hip bone, lifting the chest. Lead with the chest to come forward, reach out with the arms, pressing through that left hand to get the weight into the right hip, rotating the right leg so that the flesh is always moving away from the sacrum. Plant your hands, inhale, lift your hips, and step back to downward dog. Now we've completed our hip opening sequence for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, you can add this into your practice in your Surya Namaskar Bs, or you can use it as a separate practice on its own. Thank you for all your efforts. Namaste.